podcast for July. Um, we're a little late. We ran into some technical difficulties, but I hope you all were patient. We're patient enough and stuck around so that you can hear our wonderful shit show of a podcast. How's everyone doing? I am, of course, Neo Tokyo Tempo. And why don't everyone else introduce yourselves? Don't be shy.
I'm Baron. I'm going to be competing in the tournament as Strider Baron, but yeah, I'm Baron.
Oh, there goes John.
Typical.
Why don't you introduce yourselves, dudes?
Yeah.
676 or Mike, and I guess I've been trying to brand more, so Cade. I haven't been here in a while, but figured this is a good one to jump back in on.
It's good to have you back. And the last one.
All right, this is Lois, but I'm Striker Red, and the resident artist here. So
Yes.
let's do this already.
All right. We
Josh is going to rejoin us. His internet's acting up. He goes by Dragon, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't have him stream because
Here he is. Here he is.
Josh, introduce yourself.
I am Getsuryu, or Josh.
All right. So this month, of course, we reviewed Street Fighter 2, the movie, the one from the 90s. And Street Fighter 2, the movie, is, of course, about Street Fighter, the video game, or Street Fighter 2, the video game, because nobody has ever played Street Fighter 1, which isn't even called Street Fighter 1. It's called Fighting Street. But anyway, so it's a movie about the fighters who are street fighters, Ryu and Ken, who are really kind of victims of circumstance, where all the conflict of this movie sort of comes to them. But we'll get into that later. First, we're going to talk about the animation. I personally thought the animation was absolutely kino. It had all those markers of late 90s anime movie where it was very meticulously handcrafted. And you know, there are sort of shortcut techniques that are used, but all in all, the artwork is very detailed, and a lot of the animations are very fluid. And I think it's I think overall the animation is quite fantastic. If someone wants to jump in.
I actually think that.
No,
go ahead.
No.
Okay, I was going to say the animation I enjoyed, particularly one of the things I like if you're going to adapt a fighting game into a film. Attention to just the special moves feels cheap. And so there are instances of them actually utilizing normals from each of these characters that actually gives it that, okay, they actually played the game. They paid attention to how the animation work was done in the game to translate that to the show, or to the film. But that also speaks to, I think most of the animation feels like they just took the game, okay, how does this feel? Turn that into a scene.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they even nailed the names of the text themselves into the defining scenes. Not to mention, like Will said, this was handmade for the most part. This was done with cells.
It's the animation is definitely the brightest part of this film. Like it stands out.
Yeah.
I would say the opening fighting scene, uh, even though like it was well animated, it was a little dark.
Yeah,
And it took
yeah,
a
I
lot
could
away
barely
at the beginning.
see.
But like that became not an issue later in, but like my early expectations for it dropped immediately because of how badly it was. And then it got better as it went, and then I forgot about it. But like that first fight, which was supposed to be like super, super hype, was just like so dark that it took away a lot from it. I think that was probably my biggest gripe whenever it came to the animation. Uh, there was one other issue that I had, which was I can't. I'm not a Street Fighter fan, so I'm not gonna be good with the names. It was who's the fat dude and the
Honda,
Uh,
E Honda.
yeah.
Honda.
E Honda and Sim.
Yeah. So whenever they were fighting, like it was kind of like a nod to the fact that this is from the fighting game, but like those animations look directly out of the fighting game.
Yeah.
Uh,
The freaking
yeah,
the slaps.
So yeah, but that would be like my only real issues with the animation. Outside of that, everything else is good.
yeah. I think I think recognize because I'm not a fighting game guy either, so I haven't really played Street Fighter. But I've seen a lot of footage. There's a lot of content about Street Fighter online, and I've seen a lot of it. Um, and I think I specifically remember some animations that show like characters from the front and like the way like Ryu's fighting stances go from like the front. They remind me a lot of that. Um, and it definitely looks like they spent a lot of time paying a lot of attention to Street Fighter like animations from the games. Um, and it all and it all looks quite good. I do like the fact that um like all the fighting scenes they really matched what I know about the games, which isn't a ton, but like I can still, I don't live under a rock. I can still like pick up here and there from like what I've seen.
Tiny little nitpick, but what the hell was going on with Ken's eyebrows? It looked like he had antlers in some shot.
What about Balrog's eyes? He looked like he was on crack 24/7.
And I thought that was okay. That's like a flaw in the 92 cut. And no, 2006 updates. They just in that one shot, his eyes are just opposite directions like a gecko. I'm like, what did they do to Balrog?
I did notice like Ken in like in his fight with Ryu, he looked like really yellow for some reason.
He had malaria by the looks of it.
And that's the scene where him and Ryu are fighting and he almost falls down the cliff. That's where I noticed his eyebrows were gigantic. And then when Bison gets him, it's the same thing. It's like his eyebrows were just growing with the evil. What is
Ryu actually looked like he had either yellow fever or malaria because I didn't pay attention to that, but rather I was paying more attention to the fact that Balrog looked like he was um on some really strong weed. I mean, all things considered, I mean the guy is a parody of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson.
That was something little editing thing too. In the 92 cut, they have the name mix up with Balrog, Bison, and Vega. But in the monitors when Chun-Li's being briefed, 2006 cut, they did fix that.
Speaking of animation, how about that? How about the whole scene between Chun-Li and Vega?
Fan service.
Definition of blast
I loved the friggin' music in that scene. I'm a big fan of KMFDM, so like when I first time I ever saw that, keep in mind I saw this like late high school. I was like, wait, what? and that's like I'm like, okay, cool. Alice in Chains when Ken's introduced, just yeah. At the time I was also playing Doom, so there's a song in the Doom soundtrack called Barrels of Fun. Well, the level's called Barrels of Fun.
You just da 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 da
Yeah.
fucking you just da them bones in major chords, and now I'm
That's funny.
annoyed.
Oh, okay. There is.
Hold
Oh,
up, Lewis. I'm saying something. I know, but see, like at the time, I was already playing Doom, and then I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't know about Alice in Chains. I know about a bunch of bands like Metallica and stuff, but I just wasn't that familiar with grunge because I wasn't into grunge. And then I see this movie, and I'm like, oh, nice. I recognize this. And then I see this scene with Chun-Li and Vega, and I'm like, is that KMFDM? So whoever the heck was in charge of localization knew what the hell they were doing, because this was, I mean, like, this is good fighting game anime, because I'm not going to dunk on KOF. King of Fighters does have some good anime, but they also have some special anime with, yeah. Anywho.
I want to talk a little bit about the driving animation.
Yeah, I was about to say, the thing I was going to say before, the beginning, before Mike started was, I think you dig this, but I loved the part with Guile driving. Is that a Mustang or a Bronco? What is that?
Yeah, it was a Mustang. And also Ken's Porsche 930 Turbo. It's a 911.
Let me get the picture for the Mustang.
Not to mention every car in the movie is a stick shift, which is awesome.
Not to mention every car in the game is actually fucking licensed. Every single one. Even the Indian cars. Yeah.
There's a freaking, is it a Porsche or a Ferrari on there? The red one. The screenshot.
Yeah, it's a Porsche.
Nice.
It's a Porsche. Yeah, it's a Porsche. It's a 930 Turbo. I said the Widowmaker. They called it that because it would kill a bunch of its drivers on their own rainy days. And it was
Jesus.
Yeah. No nanny bullshit. Just pure engine.
Yeah, you know what I find interesting is back then when they were using cells, basically any time you saw a car from the front or the back driving down a road, it was always going up or down a hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has to do with like limitations of the medium. And they kind of in one of the shots they kind of like used that to their advantage and kind of made it make sense, where they have on two different layers two different hills. It's near the end of it's right at the end of the movie when Ken's car is like driving away. They have it on like two separate hills, so you see it like dip down and then like come back up the second hill. And it makes it look a lot more believable than cars did like normally back then when they were like straight from behind and driving away.
Oh, not to mention that one scene with the truck. You know the one.
I'll save that for the plot section. I have major complaints.
All I said was, holy shit, it's Truck-Kun.
It's it's funny, this movie kind of feels like, if you've seen the 90s Street Fighter movie, great, B-movie, action movie, this felt like a action movie from Asia, if that makes sense. It's so corny. It's almost like the actual live action, but even like slightly cornier because they're able to animate shit you're not able to live act.
I also
all right, yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like because it's based on a game, the animation.
Hold on, I have to go for a minute. Please continue this.
Okay. Sorry, Mike, you were saying animation?
But basically, you can get away with cheesiness and campiness in the anime for a fighting game, especially. Like the specials and everything are built to be a parody of the martial art, and so taking that with animation, you can get away with that. You're gonna have a lot harder time having Jean-Claude Van Damme emote the same way that's effective.
Dude, let's be real here. The real MVP is Raul Julia in that live action movie.
Yes.
Bison dollars.
You know, Outpost 1018's name comes from the very end of his very last scene acting at all, like before he passed, rest in peace. The part where he goes to tells Guile, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, he goes like, "I see you failed to recognize my godhood. If you have a god, you'd best pray to him." And he goes, and then he quotes Luke 10:18 in the Bible. It's like, "As I beheld Satan fall from heaven like lightning," and he does the fucking like the psycho dash, flies at Guile.
Yeah.
It's like such a cool. I love that scene because the music crescendos as he's about to blast towards Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You know, I actually really did like when Ryu and Bison were fighting. That I enjoyed Bison's animation. His dash messed me up so many times. Seeing that animated well was bittersweet.
By the way, it's Ryu, not Ryu.
Ryu.
I mix it. I will say it back and forth. I am not consistent. I apologize.
No, I believe Pete Holmes made a joke about that, the American pronunciation. He said the American pronunciation sounds like a noise that Arnold Schwarzenegger makes if you poke him.
Yeah, okay, but anyways, regarding the animation, my god, the fucking do you guys notice the fucking special effects that happen when like the glass breaking filter? What the actual hell, man?
Yeah, no, the animation in this like was extremely well done. I would say I don't know about like the other budgets for its time, but I think it was like over budgeted compared to like other things, but it did extremely well in Japan too. So
Yeah, the how should I say this? The fragment breaking area of that cutscene just drew me out because it looked like very cheap 1990s CGI. I mean, then again, I won't be surprised because well, there was little CGI to begin with in that series.
yeah, no, I'm definitely not mad at any of it because they just did an amazing job. I guess normally we would move to the music right now. So if we want to like go over there and talk about the fact that they had two separate soundtracks, one for America and one for Japan.
And
Yep.
it feels like such a mixed bag because the Japanese cut lets more sound effects and dialogue breathe. There's more scenes with actual like silence, and some of the tracks feel a bit more environment setting. The American cut feels straight up mood setting. They toss it out, let's use grunge, and like Chun-Li's fight scene is the best example where the Japanese cut is radically different.
I noticed that with Japanese anime as well. If you guys have noticed, up until lately, I like what's going on with anime. We're getting direct localization, as in Funimation translates whatever, they do their dub, but they don't mess with the music or the sound. But in the 90s, the people loved messing with the music and the sound because they don't have a license for the Japanese music. There's always that issue. But I know what you're talking about because a lot of Japanese anime, the music is almost ambient. Sometimes it even fades in and out, or sometimes it's in the background, or it's a part of the atmosphere. But with this is a prime example of 90s anime, US side, and I dug this. It wasn't like ridiculous. And you know what I mean by that, right, Mike? It's like you'll be watching an anime and there's a scene that's like a comedy scene, and they'll put like some really inappropriate music, like it's like please stop with the circus music. I don't need that right now. And then you watch the Japanese version, and it's just like it has a funny moment in the sound, but in the music, but the rest of it is just like regular music. In other words, it's like it's a tone appropriate. But this is one of the rare examples. Sorry, go ahead.
That's where the English cut definitely feels like tailored to. We need to take advantage of what is popular at the time and juxtapose that with the mood setting.
Exactly, and
they threw out diegetic sound design. It's like, let's set the mood, the tension. The opening fight scene, right? Ryu and Sagat is very different as well. The English cut has much more tension building between the two, versus the Japanese cut has this ambient tension. It's a little more mysterious as who is about to attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, but yeah, so you guys get my point though. It's like this was satisfying to watch. Like you know what? Usually in the '90s, if someone altered the soundtrack, it'd be ridiculous or dumb or just aggravating. But with this, it was like they knew what the heck they were doing. And Vega, as much as I prefer the scene with Alice in Chains playing in terms of soundtrack, the scene with Vega attacking Chun-Li was it's like burned into my head in terms of the animation, like how she kicks him and he starts, the damage she's done to him is starting to wear on him, and he's like he like stumbles and his muscles start shaking from the shock, and like the music is just fading out perfectly. Like as it's about to stop playing, she kicks him through the friggin' wall and kill him. It was great.
Oh my god!
I think a good way to explain this is like they knew exactly who the audience was.
Yes.
They knew the people that were going to go watch this movie in America, and like at the time, if you were listening to grunge, you were most or if you were a gamer, you were most likely listening to grunge.
They chose what was playing on the radio and on the speakers at an arcade when you're playing with your friends.
Yes, and I think that really helped set the mood. I think that helped like really drive home that like who is actually watching this, and that I think that helps in a lot of ways. I think that was super appropriate. I think it was really cool.
What do you guys think of the? Sorry, go ahead, and I want to ask something.
They had some weird mixing problems with the American cut. It felt like it's like instead of finding ways for the sound effects to breathe, they just would turn the volume down, and it jarring. It didn't feel like music was getting its time to shine. More so, it's just, I'll turn the volume down. We need to play the car crash.
I mean, like that's fair. Like I definitely had issues with the mix overall, but I guess I'd rather have issues with the mix than
choice of song.
Yeah, than choice of song. So, like, if I have to pick one, I'm picking that one. Yeah.
Well, I'll be real with you. I thought when I heard the entire soundtrack for the US stuff, I thought, who the fuck made this gigantic A&B? This feels like a YouTube A&B from like the old internet. You know, the ones that used to have like Linkin Park and Korn and God knows what else. And
I'm confused. Are you complaining, or are you what's going on?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Complaining. But at the same time, I rarely ever headbang to a fucking ending theme until Korn's Blind came in.
I particularly liked there was the fight at the end. They, at least in the Japanese cut, they had this what's it called, this city pop song playing, and I quite liked the song, and I thought it.
Which one was it? Was it where Chun-Li taking a shower? Or which scene we're talking about?
No, the the fight with Ryu and Ken.
Sorry, I'm zoning out. Okay, so that one had a City Pop song?
In the Japanese cut, it did.
Oh, okay, never mind. It was like the only part.
Or maybe it was the fight with Ryu and
Fei Long?
Vega. Yeah.
Oh.
Was there a fight? Like, was there a fight where there was City Pop? Because I remember City Pop in the American version.
It was the fight with Ryu and Vega. I'm pretty sure. And if it wasn't, then it was the fight with Ryu and Ken. But anyway, I thought that like really fit with the mood that the scene was going for. And I also quite liked the song.
Man, you know, if anything that has Alice in Chains done bones, it's bound to be a banger because that song is actually one of my personal favorites from Alice in Chains.
Yeah. That just in the English cut?
Yeah.
Yes. That scene is mostly silent in the Japanese cut.
So it's basically the sound of the Porsche flat six in the Japanese dub.
Yeah, and that's something that the English cut, it feels like they can't let anything be silent. There are very few scenes where they just let ambience and dialogue carry it. The Japanese cut does that so much more. The English cut, they're almost nervous to let anything go silent without build tension through music.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. The first time I actually heard that song was, in fact, a racing game, ATV Off-Road Fury.
Oh, are we not going to bring up that Walter White helped voice characters in this?
He was so long. It was so wonderful.
I never thought I'd hear the day when Bryan fucking Cranston would be voicing a video game / anime character.
Ryu, can you help me cook?
He's playing freaking knockoff Bruce Lee.
But
Ryu,
that's,
listen, my movie studio has recently run out of money, Ryu. I need you to help me sell this stuff so I can start making movies again.
But this isn't his first anime voice acting gig. He was also in Galaxy Express 999. Yeah, I just found this out right now.
I feel like DJ's character, forgetting John Hammond, the guy that played Jet in Cowboy Bebop, that his character was done so dirty to the point where you could have just not included him instead of bastardizing the character like that.
I did notice that a lot of the voice actors were in Cowboy Bebop because you had Steve Strelak, who played Vicious in Cowboy Bebop doing the voice of Ryu, and then you had Steve Blum playing as T-Hawk, as Tomahawk.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, some of these actors kind of sounded a bit off. Like, were they not trying to act? Like, for example, Leah Sargent when she played Chun-Li.
Most of the English voice acting felt very stilted. Most of them didn't feel like they knew their character. It felt like, here's the paper, read it.
That's
like
fair.
Yeah, like in the Japanese dub, they definitely sounded like how I think they sound. Like all the Hadoukens like sounded like the whatever like vague memory of it that I have in my head.
I gotta give, the English cut did a good job with the move name. I mean, Ryu's kick, Tatsumaki Senpyaku, and he actually got it right.
I can't even pronounce that one, unfortunately, and that's really fucking bad on my part. Interesting enough, I found out that the guy who played Ryu in the Japanese voice also played Kazuya. Sorry, shit. I'm feeling retarded tonight. Kazuya from Tekken and Soul Bad Guy. Kojiro Shimizu.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah.
Hold up. Kojiro Shimizu played. Let's see. He doesn't have that many voice roles. I was thinking of someone else who played. Joji Nakata. That's the guy who. That's the guy who played Bison in the Japanese dub. In the Japanese.
Bison's English voice actor, it's as bad as his was. I don't give a shit. It was so good. I love
so
that.
great.
I love that delivery. It's regardless of how comically evil he sounds. That made me chuckle. I loved it.
Yeah. Let's move on to the characters. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think the movie gave enough time to any specific character for me to be like, yeah, I really relate to this character, or yeah, I really hate this guy. It seemed like it seemed like the characters were all kind of just, or like the movie was kind of ADHD bouncing between characters really quickly because they wanted to get like as many characters in as possible. And it really didn't seem like there was enough time for any particular character to develop.
Some more than others. For example, Cammy, who only had like 5 seconds of screen time.
You can feel that, like Sagat, Cammy, there's several characters that they write a plot point for them. And like Sagat got done dirty. Like they literally he fucks off halfway through the film after being given like a plot point. Hey, you need to check on Cammy and Vega.
He's like, okay. It's like,
Bye.
Whatever. She's on her own. Fuck y'all.
Yeah. So as far as like the main characters go, Ryu seems just rather aloof to like everything. He doesn't seem to like care about anything unless it involves Ken.
Well, there's
Fighting.
also that one
Unless it
part when he
involves
helped
fighting.
that. Well, there was also that one part where Ryu helped that Indian girl.
And
I guess, but it I don't know. It seemed kind of like it seemed kind of like that was just like something they threw in out of like nowhere because it didn't really have any significance, just to like make Ryu more likable. It seemed kind of cheap to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm cynical.
You mind if I jump in real quick?
Of course.
So, you notice the part where he's in India and E Honda's like giving him shit, but also doing it in a friendly way. Like, come on, man, look at how much money I'm making from these fights. And Ryu's just like, sorry, I'm not interested, man. I'm here for a different reason. Like, I think they were trying to kind of get it across that when he's not busy training with Ken to make his skills better, he's busy finding people to fight so he can get better. Like, he's just obsessed with being like the best. Where the ending in the English dub made a great point. Like Ken is driving home with his girlfriend. He's like, Ryu, you need a ride to the airport? He's like, no, I want to walk there. It's just like,
Yeah. I'd rather walk.
I'm good. Are you sure? It's like 400 miles. Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of regarding Edmund, holy shit, Edmund. Yes, that's what the E stands for. Surprise, surprise! The guy's name is not Japanese. Edmund Honda. How should I say this? He was like one of the goofier characters in the movie, all things considered. And well, considering that he helped out Ryu regarding the final fight. I say my props to the gigantic sumo man.
Thinking
Yeah.
about it, how the hell did he and Balrog survive?
Yeah, a lot of people just fall off of cliffs, and they're just like, we're totally fine. Yeah.
It's like he's just all of a sudden carrying everyone. It's like, yo, I couldn't see the bottom of that ravine. How did you live?
I mean, like they made a joke. It's like oh, like Ryu fell, like he's probably dead. I was like,
I feel like of all the characters, Guile, or I hope that's how you pronounce his name.
Guile,
I feel like
yeah,
Guile.
Guile got the most development and like the most like he was the most fleshed out of all the characters.
Yeah, he's a real American hero. Cue the Hulk Hogan theme.
It's kind of
it's
funny
also
because they set him to develop, and hey, you need a partner. You can't be this loner. And then they subvert that and just make him the loner anyway.
Yeah, they make him the loner anyway, and then it's like, you're going to get your ass whooped in the final fight and then disappear while Ken and Ryu, who we've barely fleshed out at all, are going to be the heroes at the end.
Oh shit, it really is like the game. Get to M. Bison, like, fuck this, I'm not doing it as Guile. Switch to
Also,
Ryu.
story-wise, the irony of it, he traveled to where Ryu was to warn him and Honda about Bison, and then Bison followed him because he didn't know where Ryu was.
yeah.
Oh, how about his the development between him and Chun-Li definitely had the most development, especially when it came to the hospital scenes, because he clearly cared about Chun-Li.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like it really seems like there was like a lot of potential with like the plot between Ryu and Ken. But I don't know. It didn't. It really felt like the relationship between Chun Li and Guile was a lot more fleshed out.
Mm-hmm. Whilst Ken and Ryu were basically, not only were we're homies, but you're also my biggest rival, and I'm gonna do everything in my power to kick your fucking ass. That's basically the story between both of them.
Yeah. I didn't find the whole thing with Ryu and Ken being like it seemed to just boil down to, oh, we were friends. And that's about it. There wasn't like anything like really compelling there.
Yeah, they could have added to that because like example when they're fighting because M Bison's brainwashed Ken because he was easier to find than Ryu. Um, Speaking of which, we're gonna talk about that plot point, like where he's looked like M Bison wants to recruit Ryu, but he ends up going for Ken because he witnesses Ken fighting. So when they're fighting, like bits of memory and stuff coming back to Ken and causing him to like have a meltdown. Um, like the thing that makes him come back is him remembering stuff that his master taught them. They could have had a little bit more of that, like just to explain the bond between him and Ryu. Because as a long time, and I mean long time, as in I carried Street Fighter Alpha on for the Game Boy Color on me regularly. Um, like as a longtime fan who's watched the various multimedia bits for Street Fighter, I know what the deal is between Ken and Ryu. They're two homies. They grew up to some extent. They grew up together. It's also heavily hinted that like Akuma Goki is his father, and that his uncle is actually the master, like the guy that trained him and Ken. But see, you guys, a good chunk of people I know, including you guys, you may not know that because you have not watched all the other stuff. It's kind of like it's not anywhere near as bad as like the Sinbad story or the Sinbad offshoot for Magi, the Magical Labyrinth. But um, like with that, it's like, yeah, you definitely need to know what's going on to understand what's going on with this. But with Street Fighter, this was, even if you don't know this stuff, it's still a good B movie. But it would have helped if they added a bit of that,
Oh, speaking of Akuma, did you see the fact that he only got like 2 seconds he just he was in that one wall and only got like 2 seconds of screen time or something. Like,
Oh shoot,
they
you
didn't
got
give
you
a
got to
shit.
tell me the exact like minutes and stuff. I gotta see this. I barely noticed. I'm a huge Akuma fan, so it's like, oh damn.
I have to let you know later.
Yep. Also, I like how Capcom sneaks their name into stuff that like Ken's.
Yeah, like the license plate.
Yep.
That
All
No,
right,
no.
let's move on to the plot. I think it's time to move on to the plot. Um, I think overall the plot of this movie was designed for with people who already played who are already like fans of Street Fighter 2 in mind. Like I don't I don't think this movie was like really made for someone like me who isn't like a big Street Fighter guy. I think people I think the movie assumes that you already like the characters that are being portrayed in this movie um, through the games, and it's not really meant to stand on its own as a movie.
Oh, go ahead.
So at least for like most fighting games, uh, you might watch the cutscenes like for like each campaign fight. But like once you get to a point, like you just skip through them because they barely matter. That's how this felt. Like there was like a lot of exposition, a lot of talking. But for the most part, it just felt like I'm like, just get to the next fight. I don't care anymore. Just get to the next fight, because it just was basically, it's like, oh, here's some storyline. Okay, here's the fighters, and like, if you were a fan of the fighting game, you're more a fan of wanting to watch them fight. Like you wanted to see how these guys would stack up against each other.
Hell
So I
yeah.
think that's kind of how this went. Like the
It-
story was less important. It was more just like how many characters can we get to fight each other.
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of this movie really didn't give much time to like the individual characters. And it was more like and it really jumped around quite a lot. There was this one moment where like I think this scene was like completely superfluous, where they go, all right, patch me into Vegas, and they end up calling some guy at Vegas, and then there's like and then it's like, oh, the show's starting, and everyone like filters into this like little theater where there's a fight happening, and then like halfway through the fight just stops, and then it goes and then it just cuts to like Chun-Li's apartment like abruptly.
Oh yeah.
So stuff like that happens, and then stuff like the where the all these characters, like even this is even a problem for the main characters, the characters you're supposed to like care about. Um, it doesn't give like enough screen time to like any of them individually for like at least me to like really get to know them and like relate to them.
I feel like they even do that with like antagonists. Like Sagat, Vega, and Balrog get set up as like these big mini bosses in a manner of speaking. And like I said earlier, Sagat just vanishes. Balrog is there for 2 seconds to get tackled. Vega's the only one that gets the screen time.
Even
Yeah.
then, it's not even confirmed whether he dies or not, but a lot of fans are insisting he dies.
Well, like Vega shows up very briefly in like a couple of scenes. He's literally like just in the background. Or no, not Vega, Belrog. He's literally in the background for these scenes, and then like he shows up to and fights one of the main characters, and it's like,
And
okay,
welcome back.
we're supposed like, wait, why am I scared of this guy? And we have to like just be scared of this guy because of the fight that happens, rather than like anything we saw him do
Also, the
before that
dialogue.
important fight.
The edgy
Well,
dialogue.
he had I think he might have had 0 lines before his fight.
I like to cut up little bunnies like you before I kill them.
Yeah.
I noticed that the beginning of the movie had a lot less like voice acting in it in general, and then like the end they started like actually having like some expositions, but like for the most part the beginning of the movie was like very very much just like more just like, oh, it's that character, oh, it's just that character, and like yeah.
The first
Yeah.
half is like, we need to get the characters on the table so we can write the story.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm the only one who is going to say this, but I don't think. I was expecting like the characters had like how should I say this? The characters will have like different accents considering where they're from, and they're all like Americanized in this movie, except for Vega, who has a Spanish accent. And I thought to myself, man, I would honestly say this would be a lot more realistic. But the thing is, on an animated movie like this, fuck realism.
Yeah, it really seems like the I don't know. It just seems like they crammed too much in too little of temporal space.
And
They probably should have cut the characters in half on like
thinking
the
about
amount.
it, a lot of the characters are just there to introduce a plot point for the other characters. T-Hawk is just there so M. Bison can find him.
It-
Okay.
There
This
is
feels
plot.
like it would be a better like short like series, maybe like a 12 episode thing back then. It was not very popular, but like if you would have had 12 episodes where like each character is like introduced and like is like bringing someone along or doing something, I feel like we would have got a
It
little
could
more.
have even been like Gunbuster or Gunsmith Cats, where it's like 3 to 6 like 45-minute episodes.
Yeah. Like it feels like an hour more time would have done a ton for this. Because like I said, I'm not a huge fighting game person, but like I like Chun-Li as like a character.
Speaking
They
of,
just didn't do much with her.
I think it is very telling that as much as we're bashing it, the like our main complaint is that it like we wish it
want
was
more.
longer.
Yeah, we want more. Like we wish it was better. We wish that there was more to consume.
Yeah.
It feels like they cut content.
speaking of plot, Chun-Li's bathroom scene though.
that is definitely plot.
That was a lot of plot. That was
it is full frontal plot, all on display.
Not to mention the back plot as well.
Yeah,
That's
there's back plot,
very
there's
very
front plot.
necessary.
they it,
You see, I
I
have
feel like they
to
could have cut a
see
little
what
bit of that time out to add a little bit more plot, some
yeah,
real
Yeah,
I
plot.
have to
But
see
like,
I have to see what her body
I
looks
was
like
mad.
so I can understand her fighting style. You know.
Well, I don't know. I expected like I expected her to like have like huge abs and like giant muscles and
She
be
has
like
that in like
this really ugly troll. But
very unspecified fan art. I will not specify. She has plenty of abs in the games. She has abs, but in that one,
yeah,
not so much.
she is a real looker.
She's thick too,
I
especially
mean,
in the game.
she was a
She,
real plot driver.
dude,
Hindenburg kick.
she's also fucking thick. Look at her thighs in the video game, and then look at her thighs in the movie. They're absolutely monstrous.
I mean, she kicked a dude through a wall.
And then he fell like 20 stories and somehow didn't die.
And not to forget the California king-size bed that she just, here, catch.
I think it was a couch. She
Yeah, I
like
thought she
picked
tossed
up
the
a
couch, but
couch.
still.
Dude,
I
like
couldn't tell from the framing. It looked like just
I'm no fucking weakling, all right? I can't like hold a couch over my head and throw it. I don't know how this chick can do it, but I don't know, maybe
My best friend is a bodybuilder, and that's way above his weight limit. So,
yeah. Fucking yeah, I think unless anyone has any more hot takes about the plot, because we're about at time. I think we should do conclusions and ratings.
all right. Well, I always go first. So, I liked it. It wasn't it it wasn't meant for me because I'm not a Street Fighter fan. So, as not a Street Fighter fan, I feel like I was missing too much to actually like really enjoy it. But unlike so many other things that we reviewed where it's like, oh, like we're not fans of this, like we're missing this. Well, we could see all the reasons why a super fan or just like a casual fan liked this movie. So it delivers on the fact that the fans are meant to like it. Compared to so many other things where it's just like it doesn't help. Like I couldn't even like it as a fan of something. So because it's in a very niche thing of like the games were super popular, but this was meant for the people who played the games and enjoyed it, not necessarily the general audience. I'm giving it a higher score than what I would give it for myself, and I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think that there was way too many character rushes. I wanted to learn more about the characters, but the fight scenes were super good. The animation for its time period was like really good. I have no complaints about any of that. I just wish it was. I wish there was more and like would have catered a little bit more to like maybe someone that didn't know as much about Street Fighter.
676.
7.
Oh yeah.
5. So
7.5. All right,
Yeah.
676.
Honestly, same thing. I believe the animation is its shining point. Coming like with the soundtrack, there's a lot of weird. It's so disjoint between the cuts. It's hard for me to decide which one actually shined more. Overall, the plot is what gets me. Is there's a lot of things that feel missed opportunities. There's a lot of things that just feel like, did you give up or did you cut the content and not smear it together in some way? I enjoyed it though. Coming back to it, I remember seeing it as a kid. Coming back, it didn't disappoint into it delivers on that feel of a Street Fighter game, even down to the fight scenes feel like they're interspersed between cutscenes. And so I give it a solid 7. Just it does what it intends to do. It feels heavily marketed in the English version, but it's not bad by any stretch.
Striker.
You know, me and RJ are probably the only people here who played Street Fighter 2. And I can honestly say this is one of the...
Wait, hold up. Are we? Or who else you play?
Yeah, I was gonna say like
I have a Genesis copy.
I've played it. I just wasn't like a huge Street Fighter person. Like I played more Marvel vs. Capcom. I didn't really have fighting games, but like whenever I was at my friend's place, I played a lot of Street Fighter. We mostly played Mortal Kombat though. That was the thing. Was like I played other fighting games, not really Street Fighter as much. And
All right.
I didn't really get into it until like PS2.
All right.
All
Well, let's avoid
Yeah,
interrupting
let's-
people
yeah.
while they're doing their conclusions.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, ironically, my first experience with the Street Fighter universe was actually X-Men vs. Street Fighter on a PlayStation. Thanks to a friend of mine. And honestly, having this besides watching the live action Street Fighter movie, this has to be the best Street Fighter movie I've seen so far. And that's saying something, because not many, usually when it comes to anime movies, they don't really stick to the source material. Looking at you, Fifth of the North Star movie.
What
Anyways.
are you trying to do? Tickle me to death?
Okay, but seriously, I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I expected. I was actually a little reluctant to actually watch the dub. Let alone, and then regarding the Japanese dub of the movie, I actually didn't get to see it much outside some certain scenes. I had a lot of shit on my plate, so that was the reason. Anyways, what exactly am I going to give this? Well, first things first. This movie was actually as a B movie. It's not really going to be for everyone's taste. As a matter of fact, B movies, just like B games, have cult followings, and this movie, in fact, actually deserves the cult following that it gets. 7.5. As a matter of fact, that's a good score actually, because some of my favorite games were 7.5s by video game magazines, and honestly, I still think they're really fucking good to this day. One example of them was Tokyo Extreme Racer, the series. Now, that being said, if there's something you should learn from this, and I'm talking to the viewers at that, never trust the ratings of a video game magazine or a movie page.
Yep.
Never
My
do
favorite
that.
thing to bring up about Larry Bundy is Drivergate, and how Driver 3, or no, was it Driver 3? Yeah. It's like,
You know what's right, Tree?
yeah, it's like it had a lot of good reviews, but it was like a good example of early access before early access. But yeah, no, gaming magazines, they love dunking on anybody that hasn't paid them. When I was younger, GameSpot used to do that all the time. So I can imagine, because Capcom didn't give them hush money, or like bribes, or like, I don't like this because I don't understand it. Like now we got hipsters who do the same stuff. Like, they're supposed to replace these guys, but yeah, no, don't want to go too off topic too much.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of that, let's move on to RJ.
Go ahead.
I want to give it an 8. I'll give it a 7.9. The thing with Saga that got mentioned, there's stuff that like just got like rushed, I can tell, in terms of writing. I like the shit out of it, but 7.9. it pains me to drop 0.1. Usually, I would have given it 8.0 if it didn't have those issues. But yeah,
Well, it wasn't perfect, but it doesn't really need to be perfect.
All right. Yeah, as far as I go, um I wasn't really expecting anything out of this. I expected this to be kind of like the Devil May Cry anime
shit show.
where it's yeah, a total shit show. And it really wasn't. I mean, like I said before, it's very telling that our biggest criticism basically amounts to we wish we had more of it. Um, we wish it was longer. We wish we had more time to watch it. Um, that's really telling. So that being said, I think there's quite a lot going for it. Um, I'm not a big Street Fighter guy. I'm not a big fighting game guy, which is why I'm not a big Street Fighter guy. But I think this movie, if you are a big Street Fighter guy, I think you'll enjoy the shit out of it. And even I enjoyed it to a certain extent. I thought it was okay. Uh, and I think I think a lot of our complaints revolve around just the assumption that anyone seeing this movie would be a Street Fighter fan previously and would already be attached to these characters, so they wouldn't need a ton of screen time individually. But that being said, I think I'll give it a 7.5. And just from my assessment, which is just my assessment, it seems like a pretty good movie, and it seems like it'd be great if you really love Street Fighter. And it seems well put together enough. So yeah, 7.5.
What is our
that
total?
puts us at a 7.48. Which the MAL score is 7.17, and the IMBD is 7.1 or 7.2. So
It's been a while since
we're-
we've had a close enough
around.
score.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think this pretty much sums it up, because I was looking a little bit through the MAL scores, and either people were giving it 9s or 6s seems to be the general consensus. Either they really liked it because of what it was, because they're super fans, or they were like, it's okay. It's not for me though. And I think that really speaks to what a movie that is aiming at an audience is supposed to look like. I think that's a good way to wrap that up.
I'm gonna add one thing. I really appreciate some of the backgrounds. I'll go to the final picture that has it. Lewis actually took the screenshot, which is the temple at the very end. Just the level of detail that went into some of these, even the city.
Oh yeah, the thing at the really end. Just as a I forgot to mention this. They flew a bunch of attack helicopters, and then they shot the mountain. I was like, wait a minute, why are they shooting the mountain? Oh, wait a minute, is that the bad guys' headquarters? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was weird, because I was like, why are they destroying this temple? Oh, I guess, okay, cool. I guess
That's actually very clever too. For the villains to be hiding inside of a holy temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the movie just didn't communicate to me that it was the bad guys. Maybe if I paid harder attention, I would have noticed, or maybe not.
One or two.
I don't think they.
Maybe it was entirely implied by shot composition, and I just fucking missed it.
Maybe it was just they didn't bring it up because if you played the game, you know that was their temple. I don't know.
Also, I want to
It's
say
literally
one
like
thing.
The first time when they show Bison, that's when it shows up.
Yeah.
It's like for 2 whole seconds.
I was just gonna say one quick thing. I like that in the anime, Shadowloo is called Shadow Law, which is proper. In I guess they just stuck with the mistranslation in the series, because in the series, the game, they're like Shadowloo, Shadowloo, Shadowloo. It's like, no, it's Shadow Law. Like in being from Eastern society, when they use the word syndicate, it's like the replacement for Illuminati. So it's like the assumption is if somebody's a criminal or if there's a politician who's corrupt, they're probably in hands with some syndicate. No one knows what the syndicate is, but it's like Yakuza Triad. I could go on and on, but the whole point of Bison's empire is that he's like this stand-in for the Triad and the folks like just in the Pacific Islands, and he's encroaching into other nations' territory with the goal of taking over the world, because he's able to do experiments and stuff in parts of the world where he can get away with things. He has like this army of cyborgs. Gee, I wonder how he got that. Can't be human experimentation. And this is in the 90s, where if you had like realistically speaking, if you had a headquarters somewhere doing illegal science operations, no one would know, because there's like the satellite imagery wasn't as good back then. Anywho, my point is, yeah, like Shadow Law is Shadow Law. That's something that's bugged me, where this movie used it correctly and everybody else just misuses the word. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. Final words, and I gotta promote the tourney. Hello?
I thought it was your final words.
Yeah.
No, I was saying final. No. You guys, let me know when to.
We did our final words. Let's promote the tourney. Let's get this thing wrapped up.
Yep. Okay, so today was a podcast, and on the 30th is the tournament for Street Fighter Alpha 2. The reason I put Vega on the poster is because, he's in the movie for SF2. But anywho, so it's going to be a, like classic old school tournament. Top 3 fighters get to get prizes. Being hosted by our homies over at Thundaria, and I've put the link in the form of a QR code, but I can also put it as an actual link. But our Facebook page, the cover photo is literally the poster, and in the comments of that cover photo is a link for the challenge if you're interested in signing up. It's free to the public. The software we're using is free. And last I checked, Capcom is not a stickler about people using old name ROMs. Fightcade's 100% free, and the rollback has gotten so good that I'm able to fight with people from Europe and South America with not so noticeable lag. I'm actually able to fight in a fair fight over the net. But anywho, I hope to see you guys there. So, anybody want to add something about next month or something?
We'll be back next month as always. I hope everyone has a good night. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And yeah, you guys all have a good night and have a good August.
Peace. And chicken grease.
Yeah.
Take it easy, y'all.
Descend into fall.